Hey, what's up, family? It's your boy, Minister Jamin. We are back again with another episode of Cross Perspectives, where we are just here to have honest, real, relevant conversations. Just talking, no fluff, no gimmicks, just honest dialogue. Obviously, I'm not alone. I'm here with my sis, Minister Naomi.
Naomi.
Minister Naomi. We gonna use titles around here.
Yeah, don't
Okay.
run from it.
Look,
Ah,
there we go. And you heard it. And we're blessed today to have a special guest with us. None other than the Reverend Dr. Asa Lee, president of the Pittsburgh Theological Seminary. Say what's up to the people.
What's up, peoples? Good to see y'all.
I'm so excited you're here today.
I'm glad to be here.
How about we start off with just telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So I am. Where do I begin? Been at Pittsburgh Seminary for the last 5 years as president. Came to
years.
Pittsburgh as to be the president. I am not a Pittsburgher.
Where are you from?
I am from the DMV.
DMV.
I'm from
DMV.
Prince George's County, Maryland.
Oh, that's my
PG.
cousin said.
PG, that's right. That's what I know
PG
it as.
County.
Grew up in that area. My mother's DC, all that kind of stuff. And went away from DC area to go to Hampton University and did 4 years there as a music major.
Really?
Yeah, I was a music major.
He plays the piano. I saw him at the service. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So I was a music major, did all sorts of music, so gigging, church, all that kind of stuff. But I heard my call to ministry when I was 13. I was in middle school when I heard the call to ministry.
Oh, that's early.
It was very early. Some have heard earlier, but I was 13 years old, and I was. It was audible, right? So I heard it as if I was standing at my locker, and I heard
Like Samuel.
a voice. Yeah, I heard a voice say, like, "You're called to preach and pastor my people." And I turned around, and I grew up in church, but I was like, "No, I'm good." And so I went to Hampton, did all the things that a musician would do. I had all the fun I could have at HBCU, did all that good stuff. But then when I graduated, I got my first job out of college was being a minister of music at a church. And then I also taught public school back in PG County. And then I heard that voice again, like, you've played long. This time it was, you've played long enough. It's time to do preach and pastor my people. I said, fine, all right. And life situation being what it is, which those of us who have been called to ministry know that sometimes you get put in a vice. The Spirit locks you down until you pay attention. And so that's where I was. I didn't have a choice. So I said, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to be no typical Baptist and just stand up and start reading scripture and preaching and yelling at people. So I went to school, went back to school, got an MDiv. And then from there, pastored, ministered, all sorts of different churches, different contexts, so rural, urban, suburban. When I graduated, I was on pastoral staff, executive pastor of a church in Virginia, so still all in the DMV. And then started working in seminaries. And then I was blessed to work with other pastors. So I directed programs that helped pastors rediscover their call, which we can talk about that later.
No.
That's good.
Because when you do this work for so long, and you do this ministry for so long, you become cynical about human beings. You become cynical about the ministry. And so you get burnout real fast. If you're a social worker, you understand the same thing. You're a public school teacher, you understand, you get burnout. So my program was to give people experiences that breathe new life, and they rediscovered their purposes in ministry. Why did I do this? I didn't go to seminary to be a pastor in order to, sit over the kitchen committee and watch Christians argue about whether or not chicken and the color of the tablecloths or things like that. But for many of us, that's what we end up doing, right? So I designed programs for that. And then from there, I got my doctorate then went on, became dean of students at a seminary. I founded a program for African American church studies at the seminary. So I designed a whole curricular arc that was dedicated to African American churches, and did all sorts of other kinds of things, teaching and all that other kind of stuff, and then was fine until the Lord said in a different way, and I say this, I was accustomed to that voice saying, and it guided me well. But coming to Pittsburgh, that voice was through other people. And I had to learn to listen to that same voice in other people, right? So I didn't sign up to come to Pittsburgh. I was good. Not at all. I was good.
Yeah.
And so this is COVID 2020. People are looking for the shift in jobs and all that kind of stuff, and I'm good. I got an invitation to apply to a school in Atlanta, and I was like, oh, I'm good actually. But if Atlanta's out there, then what else could I do? And I saw the job announcement about Pittsburgh, and I was like, it's too cold, too white.
Hey, talk about it. Talk about it.
And I'm Baptist, they're Presbyterian. I don't think that's gonna work. So I'm good. And then the next month, it was January 2021, I got a email saying, you've been nominated and we want to talk to you. And I was like, no, I'm good. Like literally, email said, I'm good. Nah. And the individual, the head of the search firm, reached back out and said, no, we have to talk to you before we can move on. And so I had 3 questions. I've told this story several times. I said, I have 3 questions for you, and we'll see what happens. So it's Zoom. It's the winter of 2021. Everything is shut down still. I'm sitting in my office on Zoom, and I said, I got 3 questions. You answer these 3 questions, we can keep talking, or we're good. Or you can go back and say, you talked to me. Question number 1, I'm black, right? And he laughed, but he saw I wasn't laughing. I said, he said, yeah, no, yeah, okay, yeah, we know you're black. I said, the committee knows that I'm black. Well, yeah. I said, okay. All right, as long as you understand that.
Yeah.
So the second question is, I'm not Presbyterian, and that's a big thing. Presbyterians, and that's true of all seminaries. Seminaries tend to call, just like churches, at a Baptist church, you're not going to call a Methodist, right? Or at a Methodist church, you're not going to call a Lutheran, right? Even though that happens, sporadically, seminaries, they customarily didn't do that. So he said to me, well, we've changed our bylaws, we've changed this and we've changed that. We want somebody that's different. And so here's what we've gone through. And he answered my first question with, we've gone through diversity training. The board has gone through diversity training, bias training, all that kind of stuff. And so I said, well, I got one more question. I said, that's interesting. I said, I'm Black Baptist. I said, it sounds redundant, but I'm Black Baptist. He said, you're going to have to help me. I said, Presbyterians, I clap my hands, I talk back. Yeah. I'm emotive. Presbyterians are known as the frozen chosen. They don't move in church. They don't, right? Yeah. They barely sing, right? Yeah. So I'm different. And if I'm coming, I'm going to bring all of who I am. And he said, let me tell you a story. He narrated to the point that I heard that voice again in him. Right. So then when I finished, I talked to my wife and I said, well, my prayer was, well, Lord, if this is your will, make sure that I can be who I am. I don't want to deny parts of myself to get a job or to be in ministry because this job is hard enough. If I can't be authentic in who I am, then that's fine. 5 years later, here I am. And I can say I am who I am. I recognize being here in Pittsburgh, being who I am and who God has made me to be has been a radical shift for a lot of people in Pittsburgh.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
So that was a learning curve for me. But that's my story.
So I came into PCS when you were beginning your journey, and I can tell the difference between when I first entered versus now as I'm exiting, and you could see the changes as far as for inclusion, diversity. When I came, the diversity consisted of black and white.
Mm-hmm.
As the years started progressing, you've seen different races from international
Mm-hmm.
to Hispanic. Well, was there?
We have some.
Hispanic.
Hispanic.
There was also Indian.
Indian, Asian. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the biggest changes was the LGBTQ plus A.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge change for Pittsburgh in the religious culture around here.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of the PTS alum were like, yeah, this isn't the same PTS that I graduated from. And we learned in some of our classes, like PTS traditionally was older Caucasian men.
Mm-hmm.
And now, as I am finishing up my hybrid, it looked like HBCU. Oh my God.
Don't say that out loud. Don't say that out loud.
But you could tell the diversity, and I actually appreciate it because in our classes, you were able to hear different voices, different experiences that you would have not gotten just by being in a black class or a white class. And our conversations, they can get deep.
Yes.
Some of the classes, but sometimes they're uncomfortable.
Yes.
But sometimes they're enlightening, but the hard questions are being asked. And I felt like that's so important, especially when you go into ministry, because there was one thing that you said whenever I was talking about my internship is try to be diverse in where you're going as far as denominations and be open. And I see why.
Yeah.
Because being able to move in different spaces, it helps you in so many ways that you wouldn't even know.
Going deep is uncomfortable, right? Being in rooms with people whose experiences are radically different than your own is uncomfortable. It can be exciting. It can be all the things, but deep work, not superficial work.
Yes.
Deep work is uncomfortable work because their presence, whoever they are, is going to call on you to figure out who you are. And if you don't know who you are, their strong definition is going to challenge that. And seminaries are all about that. When I was a dean of students, and even now, when I invite people to seminary, the first question I ask is a question that Frank Thomas, who is professor
I'm
of
reading
preaching,
about him now.
Very good, very
How to
good.
preach a dangerous sermon.
Yeah.
We'll
So
read it.
Frank is a good friend of mine.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Pray for him. He's just lost his son in a tragic accident. But Frank has this great sermon that begins with, "Do you have a teachable spirit?"
I just watched the one of what is God requiring of you. Okay.
Yeah. So what he says in the sermon, I used to use that as a setting for people coming to seminary. Because what he says in the sermon is most of us have never lived outside of the communities we grew up in, worship or fellowship or connect with people that look like us, talk differently than us, don't look like us. We don't travel differently. We don't operate differently. And yet we say, we always want to, you're always learning something. You're always learning something new. The question is not about learning. The question is about, are you teachable? Are you willing to be opened up to different things? Seminary, that's what the fundamental premise of seminary is. Our job is not to be Sunday school.
Yeah.
Our job is to, when you say a pithy statement like God is, I didn't forget, it just went out of my head. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. Our job is to say, really? Is God? Not even is he. Is God good all the time?
Yeah.
Because in the back of every Christian's head, if you haven't really allowed yourself to wrestle with that question at least once, I got to question your authenticity before God.
Especially in the Black Baptist church.
Especially in the Black Baptist church.
You going to listen and hear
And
the word.
asking the question is the faith act.
Yeah.
Being faithful means being open to the possibility that we're questioning, right? Doubting Thomas gets a bad rap because he don't believe the witness of the disciples. And say, lest I see for myself. I don't know what y'all saying. I like Thomas.
Keeps it real.
He keeps it real. Like, just because y'all came in here and said something crazy and it's like, that's ridiculous. Ain't nobody ever in the universe done something that you said that Jesus just did. I don't believe you. And the person that gets the first audience, besides Mary Magdalene at the tomb, is Thomas. He comes in and busts through and say, see, you wanted to see, didn't you? Right? To me, if I want a close encounter, I got to be willing to question. That's what the text tells me. Right? Right? So being able to give permission for that. Seminary is a place where and I grew up in Sunday school where I was not allowed to ask questions.
No. No.
My defining moments in Sunday school was being put out.
Yeah.
For asking questions.
And again.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah. Wait for your grandmother.
Yeah.
Because you can't, Right.
Why?
Don't question God. Well, but it say right here in Psalm 13, how long, O Lord? ? So going to church and being invited to not think turned me off from church. If a preacher stood up and said the world is 5,000 years old and I'm learning in science in public school that dinosaurs lived 6-10 million years ago, the math ain't mathing on that, right? Right? The earth is 8,000 years old because such and such. Preachers, I'm looking at the camera now, don't ever do that. Science explains things that faith is struggling to understand, and faith explains things that science struggles to understand. They're not at odds. They work together, right? So being able to bring my mind, seminary was the first place where I was allowed to bring my mind to my faith.
I didn't even know to think deeper, like, because the older generation, when you say you're going to seminary, don't you lose what you know. Don't you lose what you know.
They're going to take your Jesus.
But I think part of that is, again, knowing that you have to be open and available to be able to stretch your mind and see things in a different light. And going in like, yes, I have my beliefs, but don't be so closed-minded that your beliefs and your thoughts can't be challenged. And a lot of times what we find out is that it's because of those differences and different thoughts and different mindsets and different patterns and challenges that we actually confirm or better, develop our own individual doctrinal beliefs. And a lot of times it's the shifting in that where, oh, I didn't think of it this way. I didn't see it this way. And you might not get that if you're constantly surrounding yourself with people that think like you, that act like you, that speak like you.
It's a teachable spirit, right? I say this now that whenever somebody says, don't let nobody take church or Jesus or from you when you're in seminary. And my response to that is, if I can take it from you, you never had it. Right? If I can take your Jesus from you, then you never really had it.
Never had it.
Right? Our job in seminary is to get you to question things till you get to the core idea of what matters for you.
Yeah.
So that when you are in the world ministering and doing these things and they are questioning you at the heart of who you are, you're not making up some pithy statement.
Or something you heard.
Right, somebody say. Nah. When somebody says, well, I don't believe that statement that God is good all the time. Well, let's talk about that. Because sometimes it do feel that way. Sure enough. So, and then you can open up, go, can I say that? Yes, you can say that. God is big enough, right? Statements like God is bigger than the Bible. Wait, what? God is bigger than the Bible. That's not a radical statement to say, right? Well, we come to know God through the word. Some of us do.
Yeah.
Others of us learn him at the bottom of a toilet bowl in the nightclub saying, Lord, I don't want to do this anymore. I am tired. Get me out of this situation. That is equally true. And then they come to understand fully through the word, right? Some of us learn through hitting rock bottom. And if all these pithy statements out here, they don't mean anything. This is my years of pastoral experience coming out, right? They don't mean anything if you're not willing to have you who are saying those things aren't willing to interrogate why you say those things.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us are closed off from interrogation because we find comfort in what we know. And I don't want to explore the things that I don't know or challenge what I know.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reality as well is, though, from the congregational standpoint, if you never show that type of authenticity or that type of challenge or realness over the pulpit in your messages, and you're constantly, everything's high church and no content or no ruffle with the text, and you're just saying something and you get into the shouts, and there's never a moment where the person I'm supposed to be getting my spiritual leadership from is not showing me or challenging me or presenting that it's okay to feel this way. Then now you're affecting them, because now they don't know how to navigate that. And well, maybe it's me, I don't, well, I doubt, so I'm wrong, or,
Right.
I never hear this, so maybe it's me, maybe I'm not good enough, or whatever case may be. And so it comes back to not just your own self development, but also as church leaders, we got to be able to understand and be real and honest. Like, hey, I don't know all the answers.
Yes.
Yeah, I deal with this. Yes, this is a challenge. Yes, y'all people, church hurt is real.
Yeah.
And I'm a pastor. Y'all hurt me just like y'all hurt each other. And like real conversations like that presents you not on this pedestal, but now it's just like, oh, okay, he's a real person. He's dealing with things. Now I can make that connection.
Yeah, I mean, well said. I think that was something that, because I experienced that pedestal growing up in church, when I started pastoring, I was always clear about accessibility. Not in the sense that you can get me wherever you want, but in the sense like, walk with me as we walk through our real life experiences together, right? And y'all got questions.
Yeah.
And if you don't have questions, I'm going to make you have questions. Right. So a lot of my parishioners used to be very upset with me at the end of Bible study because I always left them. I'd make sure to answer their questions.
Yeah.
But I also left them with more questions they had. So they walk out and say, well, how do I come to this? Because every week I learn, but then I got more questions of the text. Because I used to say, I spent 3 years in the MDiv program and a master's program. I got all this knowledge here. Y'all getting this work.
I know that's right.
That's right.
The Greek and the Hebrew.
Yeah, all of it.
Stay away
Yeah,
from
that's right.
you running from the Greek.
I am.
Keep running, because I just talked to somebody yesterday. It's no joke.
I seen the breakdowns in the summer, and I said, Jamin, don't do it over the summer. Oh, no, it's going to be fine.
Rough.
The reward is you learn so much more about the text, but that's more than a notion. Yeah.
That is. So one of the things you mentioned, and I kind of want to, go back to it, and it kind of loops in together, but it's this notion of kind of building and developing unity without uniformity. And, like being a Baptist in a Presbyterian environment, and dealing with the culture shifts, and dealing with assisting and helping and being a part of different churches and organizations and bodies and denominations. How could we kind of maintain and navigate that line of having unity without uniformity? Like, I may not follow all the Presbyterian rules, and I might not be in this box, but that box should not keep me from being able to cross those lines and keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah, it's a nuanced, complicated thing on one hand, because And I usually say unity without conformity, right? That we don't, but it's the same thing, uniformity, conformity. Figuring out, I mean, this is true of the United States as a country, right? Out of many, one is our motto, right? We want people, the problem we have right now is we want people to do as we do. And if we perform the things that align with the things we expect, then we're all together. The problem with that is that's performance. Performance doesn't get to belief, right? Yes, fake it till you make it, but sometimes you ain't gonna make it. And you just need to go ahead and stop faking, right? So being able to have an understanding of who you are clearly and being able to see through performance to get to the heart of a thing. What is the thing actually? Whether it's a church, a seminary, right? And then where are the lines, that the values that align, right? Doesn't matter the package they come in.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the performance that's happening. What matters is, do I see the values that align with my values? And if that's the case, then how do we partner together in such a way that I see those same values? And if you do it well, you are actually saying, though I am different than you, I want you to win. And so I'll support you in your values without losing who I am.
Right.
Right. And that is hard work. That's been most of my ministry, particularly in higher theological education. The previous seminary I was working at was a United Methodist seminary. I was Baptist.
Yeah.
Right. United Methodists and Baptists, yes, we believe in Jesus, but there are a lot of differences when it comes to everything from how the church is organized to how they conduct worship to what matters in terms of baptism or, all the other kind of things. And my wife is United Methodist. But what we learn is those differences are not so insurmountable that you can't have a relationship, right? If, though, all you have are the differences and your performance is based upon the differences, then you can never get to a place of uniformity or unity over the uniformity. Because you have to do it this way. You got to pray this way. You have to say these words. This is my problem with certain parts of the Christian family, in which it matters more that we have, for example, public prayer in schools, right? So that students can be physically actually on their knees praying or putting up 10 commandments.
Yeah.
Right? The performance.
Performing part.
But we're not going to actually help y'all, right? We're not going to, the values that we want to bring in prayer, we're not going to actually do, but we want to make sure everybody has a right to pray,
Yeah.
right? I used to say to folks all the time, like, you do know there's prayer in schools, right?
Yeah.
I was a public school teacher. I prayed every day. And some people recognized what I was doing, and they quietly would come over. I didn't invite them,
Yeah.
but they would come over and pray. I had a colleague who, before school started, she would anoint her desks with oil.
Oh, that's right.
Right? You're not going to sit there and tell me that there ain't no prayer in schools. What you want is public displays of performance, which lead to hypocrisy,
Yeah.
in my view. If you don't deal with the unity that's underneath, right? What are the values? What's happening? What's taking place underneath it all? What do the 10 Commandments mean? Then you don't need to put it up on a classroom wall. And I think that is a struggle we have in a society that is performance-based,
Yes.
church included, right? I'm like many other Christians like me who will watch the latest shout video or the preacher who is tearing up a church with a mean hoop and folk are running around and all that. I'll watch some of that. But I always come back to the question, so what does this mean? All that yelling and screaming and we tired. What are we going to do now? Right? Yeah. The good preaching of a good sermon that leads people to transformative life, then what do they do with a transformed life? Right? But yet, the performance is, man, we sure had church. Speaking in tongues and running around the church and all that. Okay, but what are we doing? And again, I'm not trying to deride that because there are a lot of tongue tongue-talking churches who then get up and feed people
Yeah.
and go do things. So it's not just the performance of worship, but what does that worship do and lead the people in church to do later? The issue is performance, to get to the heart of the question, right? If all you're concerned about is looking a certain kind of way or sounding a certain kind of way, then uniformity is what you want. I want people to do as I do. But if unity matters, then you're looking for the commonalities between us. I don't care how you do it, as long as we're aligned in this. Even if I don't like the way you do it, I'm in conversation with the values underneath it to figure out how do we still get to the common goal here to do the things we need to do. And
I think a lot of our classes are surrounded around that too.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That, I would say, is one of the biggest changes at Pittsburgh Seminary.
Yeah.
Is there was a lot of uniformity,
Yes.
right, around sort of everybody's here to be a pastor, or everybody's here to be a pastor of a Presbyterian church. And so we're going to shape you this way. No, everybody's here to serve God in some kind of way,
Yes.
right? Even if their understanding comes from different sources than I, right? They may have different texts than we do, but we're here to lean into our faith and to then do a thing. And this equipping in classes and those kind of places are the spaces in which we do that. That's a value. So anybody that wants to lean into their faith and do something, y'all come to seminary. I mean, that's the idea.
Yeah.
When people ask me, do I have to be a pastor? No. Do I have to be Christian? Not necessarily, but you need to have understanding that you're going to come over here and get a Judeo-Christian understanding of certain things. But we have non-Christians in the student body.
Really?
Yes. We have graduates. We had Jewish graduates historically. Because what matters is what is motivating you, a faith idea that motivates you. So that's the shift, right? So for me, as a Baptist leading a Presbyterian seminary, first question I ask is, what does it mean to be a Presbyterian seminary? I haven't gotten a clear answer to that yet, because part of being Presbyterian is to question and engage. So it's an evolving question, evolving answer. I'm like, okay, well then we're going to do this work. This is what it means to be a seminary, and we're going to focus on that. And we may backdoor into what it means to be a Presbyterian seminary. The same values, though. What we're doing is what matters to us as a Christian institution.
Yeah.
And students are getting what they need to be able to do the things that they feel called or led to do. In that regard, I'm doing it differently. I'm not packaged like my predecessors, that's for sure. But I'm still able to achieve the things in unity over the differences that we've had.
Yeah. I mean, even going to the hybrid gatherings and going to the different contextual analysis places and the worship services, I told Jamin, I said, I had to worship at a farm.
Yeah.
I had to work. And he was like, what? And I was like, one of the PTS alum holds the sacred space in a farm to do worship services.
In Garfield, in the middle of the city.
In the middle of the hood. And so that just teaches you that, like, you don't have to be confined to one traditional path.
Correct.
And we're all having the same agenda at the same time. So I think I talked about hybrid gatherings on another episode, but I was just like, I love hybrid weekend. Like, I live for hybrid weekend. But
Good.
yeah, I get so much out of it because you're not sitting in the classroom, you get real life experience. So
Yeah, and if you're not from Pittsburgh, you then are left with lots of good questions. So you go back to your own city and say, I wonder if there's an urban farm in my town.
yeah.
Right? And chances are there is, and you can find a way to engage it. I wonder if there is a kind of ministry that does what I witnessed in Pittsburgh. I wonder if that's a place here. Because God may also be working in that. And you might be the person to start the thing that you experienced here in your town. That to me is the God moment.
That's good. That's good. And I think again that sort of out of the box thinking, right? Because you shared with the hybrid experience with working with a church that has a nonprofit.
Oh, yes.
Bible Center.
Bible Center, yes.
Center, and learning about how to navigate that, and the coming together with other people, and it's just, again, it goes back to the finding that there's purpose, and a lot of times we don't look to see what the purpose is out of certain things. We just do.
Right.
And when we get to the point of going beyond just doing and actually seeing, okay, why are we doing this? What's the purpose behind this? It changes your focus and how you see things. Like, okay, what can I get out of this? What is it that I'm supposed to get out of this? What can I extract? What are the principles, the values, the thinking? What is it for me? Why am I here in this and experiencing this? And it comes back to, there's a lot of things that we just don't know. And if we don't have these opportunities, we're probably not going to experience them. And so, I think that's cool with the hybrid and how it's mandatory.
It is. When our orientation for PTS, the question was, what do you want to do? Everybody was like, I don't know. Everybody in the room was like, I'm just here. I'm just here. And I think the beauty of that is seeing how everybody took a different path, and there weren't two paths that were the same. And I love that, because when we were going through our training, I kept saying, like, I'm not trying to be nobody's pastor. And people just didn't know what to do with me.
Correct.
They didn't know what to do with me. So that kind of was projected on me, like, well, if nobody knows what to do with me, then I guess I don't know what to do with myself. But like having the ability to go to seminary and be open to explore and try and test different things, I can say that my identity has been shaped over the past couple of years to know like what I can and what I'm not going to do.
Correct.
But then there's also the aspect of the willingness that I'm still working on. But I enjoy just watching the shaping in the process. So with me and my cohort.
Good. That's the thing that have always felt called to, is to create the conditions where people are shaped to know what they're supposed to do. I can't be responsible for them doing it or not, but I can be responsible for creating the conditions for them to know what, God is calling me to do such and such. In ministry, God calls people who are persistent and stubborn. It's part of the job.
Yeah.
What I tell people is it's much better for you to be persistent and not stubborn. Stubborn people don't listen.
No, they don't.
And so persistent people, the only difference between a persistent person and a stubborn person is a persistent person hears and takes account of what they're hearing or observes. Doesn't mean they change their mind necessarily, but they might. Right? A stubborn person is never going to do that. No. They're going to continue to try to bust down a wall, whereas a persistent person will hear, you can do it that way, or you might be able just to walk around. Okay, my goal is to get through the wall. So, and what are ways to do it? But you should always be persistent in ministry. You should never be stubborn.
That's good. That's good.
I'm gonna keep that because sometimes I can get a little stubborn.
We all can. We all can.
For sure.
But the moment that flips you, a persistent person is a stubborn person, because there's a point where they're not listening, and so you have to, and that includes listening to God, right? I love Jonah's narrative because Jonah is a stubborn individual to the end. There is no point in which he rejoices. Even when Nineveh is saved, what does he say? This is why I didn't want to do it in the first place, right? And there's a part of us who are called as ministers that have to wrestle with that part of who we are. You should be healthily If nobody else is going to question God, the person who's given their life to this work, there's nothing I haven't done for God that I haven't spent a little time saying, really? You want me to do what? I ain't doing that. You crazy.
And I think that's a struggle that we kind of deal with. And I will say, it's almost like you're trying to figure out, like, hearing his voice. And you get to a point where you know that he speaks.
Mm-hmm.
But part of knowing that he speaks now puts responsibility on you to listen and respond.
Yep.
And sometimes because we know that we want to be stubborn or we don't want to listen and we don't want to respond, sometimes we don't get past or we question whether or not he's really speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we do know he speaks. And like you said earlier, sometimes how he speaks to us is not always going to be direct.
That's right.
It might be through people. It might be through situations. It might be through circumstances. And, we always resort to the, well, if God, if this is you need to show me a sign. Or you need to show me something. You need to tell me something. And then we have this kind of mindset or expectation that it has to be shown in the way that I'm looking for
Stubborn.
or else I'm not going to believe it.
That's right. It's stubborn.
One thing I did learn in my class is silence. I will talk to people in the car. I will be on the phone, be scrolling everything, and then be like, well, I ain't hear from him. And
Whole time the Lord talking.
just loud. And I had to learn that silence is kind of a golden moment for you and him. And we had to do like this test in spiritual formation. And I realized like I never really have a peaceful moment. And so creating that time,
Space.
that space was so important because I just realized how much noise I had to have. And when it is silent, I'm like, oh, I can't handle this. But then we learn like how hard it is to actually sit in silence. And it's a train.
It's a very hard thing in a society that is very noisy. Right? I appreciate the value of silence when I've always appreciated the value of silence. I'm an only child, so I really do like to be left. Don't bother me. Leave me alone. But I really appreciate it as a spiritual discipline when I was in Haiti. I've been to Haiti several times, but one of this was for mission. And so we were in the Gold Coast in the northern area helping to rebuild this was right after the set of Hurricane Matthew and then a set of mudslides. So we were in the country to help rebuild this community. And I remember walking up the side of the mountain. There were settlements all along the mountain. And I could not hear a thing. I could not hear a motorized, I couldn't hear radio, television. The only thing I heard was the soft sound of human activity, cutting up wood or children giggling. Other than that, it was silent. And the smell of charcoal burning. And I said, this is what life is. This is what it means to be in touch. And God is in that moment, right? And then I remember the day we came back and we landed in Miami and we're changing planes. And one of the members of my group said, it is so loud walking through the terminal.
Oh.
Every television was on. It's the cacophony of sound of people, phones ringing, and I realized that, but this is horrible. Like it is.
Yeah.
It was loud.
Yeah.
Right. And I had to think to myself, wow. When we left, I wasn't thinking that. When we were flying out, I wasn't thinking but I literally at one point had to put my hands over my ears. It was so loud. So now the next couple of times I went, I brought headphones so that when we got off the plane, I was re-entering into a very noisy society. So think about that from a spiritual perspective.
Yeah.
Right? All of the distractions we have, all the noises we have, all the things that keep us from paying attention to a God that is consistent, slow, steady, and captivating. Those are all things that take time and energy that you have to pay attention to. So a lot of times we say, the Lord, I don't hear the Lord. I can't hear what the Lord is saying. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Slow down. Be quiet.
Yeah.
Moving too fast.
Yeah. If your prayer is all about talking and never listening, right? Prayer has its two parts, right? Talking and listening. Or listen, talk, and listen. Right? So sit silently before you say, dear Lord. Good 10 minutes of silence. That's an eternity.
10 minutes is, I was about to say that is
That's
so
a long
long. We were sitting in class and I'm like, I didn't realize.
That's the exercise I used to do with my students when we did silence. I would say, we're going to start a silent exercise. So put your phone down with everything and we're sit in silence. And then I'd just go and then I'd say, how long do you think it was when we break it up? And it'd be literally like maybe 45 seconds. And folks would be like, 2 minutes.
I believe it. That's me. I'm sitting there like, oh, focus. And then in your brain, you're like, why am I not? And it's just like, shut up. It's a whole bunch of stuff happening.
We don't listen.
Yeah.
Silence teaches you how to listen.
That is good. Now, so I like switching things up a little bit. So what if it's the case where you're trying to listen, but then God is silent? Like, how do you then at that point kind of keep yourself from assuming that every little thing is God?
Yeah, that's really good.
And when it's really not. And it's like, okay, God, I'm praying, I'm sitting here, I'm quiet, I'm in solitude, I'm listening, but you're silent back.
So really good question. My students used to know this about me. Whenever they would meet with me and they start talking about that phenomenon, silence, or I don't know what to do, and I still very firmly believe this. They now quote it back to me all the time. But I say, what was the last thing the Lord told you to do? And have you done that? Because a lot of times the Lord ain't speaking because he's still waiting on you to do the last thing he told you to do.
Yeah.
Right? And never fails, going back to the last thing helps you to frame everything else that's going on in your life. Right? So the Lord told me to go back to school. And here I am. I got this new great job and I'm excited and I'm working through this, that, and other thing. But my life is still messed up and I feel unfulfilled. And I've been praying and the Lord's been quiet. You know, what I'm supposed to do? What was the last thing the Lord told you to do? Go back to school. And why? So you ain't, did you go back to school? Well, no. Well, what happened? Well, I had the kid or I did that. But, the Lord know I can't do that. The Lord, that's not a limitation on God. Right? Those are real limitations. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But those aren't limitations for God. And God's mind ain't been changed till you did the last thing God told you to do. But once you do that, then it never fails. Once you learn to do that thing, then God opens up the other things that you've been praying for. And all of a sudden,
so true.
I hear him again. Oh my goodness. Right? But also, remembering the last thing helps you to see that everything else that around you ain't necessarily what God is saying. Right?
That's true.
Right? So I've had it so that, that statement about, the last thing the Lord told me to do was go back to school and I ain't been obedient. Okay. Well, every other door has closed, but I keep running into the so-and-so who is the dean of admissions at so-and-so. I ran him in the grocery store. I ran him so-and-so here. Maybe I should talk to them. Right. You see the path based upon the thing that the Lord told you to do. If you don't do it, the Lord keeps throwing this thing in front of you and you praying, Lord, I need more money. I need more this, that, and other thing. And the Lord is showing you the last thing you're supposed to do. If you just do that thing, right? So for me, that's how you figure that out, because God is waiting on you to do the thing that you're supposed to been done.
Been
Done.
Been done.
Right? And we don't do it, and then we wait for God to tell us something else.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
No,
That ain't how that works.
Thing right here.
And the scary part is there are points in our lives, particularly those of us who are called to sort of the kind of ministry, pastoral ministry or leadership. There are points in our life that are inflection points, that everything in our life hinges on our either response to, obedience in, or
true.
right.
Yes.
And that is the left turn or the hard right in our life.
Whole trajectory.
Right? The whole trajectory of your life changes, but it's predicated, and God's entire design for your life is funneled to this singular point. And you are stuck. You can't move. You can't go a next level. Why can't anything else open? Because God is waiting for you to do this singular thing. And a lot of times that's hinging on a yes.
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 Right?
Yes.
Once you say yes, or as my pastor used to say, once you yield, then you yield.
Yeah.
Once you say, okay, fine, you can have it, then stuff starts to happen with
That's
you.
so true.
But we're in that inflection time, we are waiting for some other kind of instruction.
Anything else but that.
Anything else but the thing that you don't want to. Yeah.
Right.
That's so true.
And I've been doing this long enough, living like, okay, if that's what you want to do, God, fine. That's what we're going to do. Because I don't win. Right? Now, I don't have to like it. I can argue while I'm doing it. Right?
Just mad.
Yes. And that's the piece. We're supposed to do it joyfully. No, not always. That's why I like Mark's Jesus. Mark's Jesus is not a willing participant in God's in the Father's plan for his life. Right? At every stage, he's like, why I gotta do this? He rushes here because he want to get it over with. He just, he calls them fools and dullards and everybody else, and right, denies blessings to a Syrophoenician. I mean, he's just mean.
No.
But you know what? I resonate with that.
Because it's real. That's
Right.
true.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm doing what you asked me to do. What more do you want from me? You ain't getting nothing else out of me today.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I think the wrestling with what was the last thing I heard clearly. Right. It might be 3-4 years ago, but what was the last thing you heard clearly?
Clearly.
And did you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've said this, in one of my messages before. A lot of times we get to our destinations and our outcomes longer and later than God really intended, all because of our lack of obedience, our lack of, wanting to, to hear or to act. And a lot of it is self-inflicted. And a lot of it's self-inflicted. It's like, well, you can't always blame the devil for everything that goes wrong or everything that happens. When sir, did you listen? Did you obey God? Did God tell you to do that, or he tell you to do this? Well, I wanted to do this because I'm more comfortable. And it comes back to this thing of getting out your comfort zone. And it's almost at the point like if you're constantly comfortable, something ain't lining up.
Yeah.
Something ain't lining up. And it's the same thing with ministers and with preaching. And I've gotten to a point where I've got comfortable with this. Like, if, I should be nervous and be feeling the type of way when I'm about to preach.
I'm still nervous.
I should be.
Yes.
I should be. If I'm just cool, calm, collected, like, nah, I'm good, then maybe I ain't about to preach what I'm supposed to preach. I think it's at a point of being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah. I've been uncomfortable for about 3 years now. So uncomfortable. But I'm loving every minute of it, but it's uncomfortable.
And another three. Another three.
Good. Disorientation, uncomfortability. That's all part of ministry. right? I still get nervous every time I have to speak.
I couldn't tell.
How I carry my nervousness, right? This is where performance versus, I'm a music major. I know how to perform, right? Stage anxiety, all that kind of stuff, that's normal, right? I can go out on a stage and make you convinced that I'm totally fine with this, but I'm still anxious. I'm still nervous about it. The moment when I taught preaching, I used to say, the moment that you are not nervous when you preach, you need to stop. It's an awesome responsibility to stand up in front of people and tell them information that they will then use in their life to make life decisions.
So true.
That's what preaching, that's how preaching, particularly in the African American tradition, that's what preaching is.
Yeah.
We are oral peoples. So what does the Lord have to say to us? I'm taking copious notes, because when I make this next decision, the preacher said,
preacher said.
right? And I used to have people, I had some people come to me. I had a woman come to me once when I was pastoring, knocked on the door, made an appointment, everything, sat down, and proceeded to ask me. She said, I'm thinking about selling my house. And she gave me all the statistics about how much it might be in the marketplace. She said, so what do you think? And I looked at her, I said, I'm not a realtor. Right. No, actually, I got her up and we went to the door, and I opened the door and looked at the nameplate. This don't say CPA. It don't say realtor. It don't say, it say Rem. Rem doctor. So my job is not to tell you whether or not you should sell your house. My job is to pray that the wisdom that you need to figure this out will do that. So let's pray.
Yeah.
And so she's like, well, what do you think God wants from me? I said, I'm gonna say something to you. I don't mean no harm or disrespect. God don't care if you sell his house or not. She said, why you say it like that? Because you didn't come in my office and say, the Lord is leading me to sell my house.
Yeah.
You just said, I'm going to sell my house, blah, 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 blah. The Lord don't care about what you do.
That's a good one.
She was hurt. She was hurt by it, because she's like, are you saying the Lord don't care about me? I said, say the Lord didn't care about you.
Yeah.
You are elevating this decision to a place that is not where it needs to go. You need the money. You got an opportunity to sell a house. See, to me, you do what you got to do. Right. Pray on it. But don't come to me with that. But there are people who sit and listen to us preach every week who, in fact, are making those kind of decisions based upon, they pray in the midnight hour. They get up and come to church. And this is the mysteriousness of preaching. God will speak through something you say in your sermon to address their need. I don't know what that is. Right? And God knows I don't remember half the stuff I preach. So you said, y'all sitting there talking about the message. I'm like, I might have said that, but if y'all heard it, it happened.
I can't.
because my responsibility is to offer what God gave me in the moment. And then there's another moment.
Yeah.
I can't live in the sermon I preached, a year ago or even last week. I might remember elements of it, but I don't know. And how you hear it is between you and God.
Yeah.
Right? From what I say to what you hear, God is in the middle of all that. Right? But I got to be faithful to my part. And then y'all are open to whatever God is saying to you.
That's good information to remember.
That's good.
Especially because we got to preach. When are you preaching again? Next month?
March.
Oh, March Madness.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
For coming. And I have all these nuggets in my head that I'm going to remember. And we want to do a Kingdom collab.
Okay.
So if anybody is interested in knowing more and want to deepen their faith and stretch themselves, I'm going to say PTS. Now, he went to Liberty.
Okay.
But I'm going to say PTS just because I'm about to be an alum. So I can say that.
Alum and a student.
Yeah.
All right. So welcome to the Kingdom Collab section. This is an opportunity to highlight some of the organization, businesses, partnerships, and things that are happening around in and around the community. So obviously today we're going to shout out PTS.
Yes.
For our Kingdom Collab. why don't you do the honors and give us a quick little YPTS?
YPTS.
You do it.
Oh, okay.
You do it and I'll fill in whatever.
Okay.
Here we go.
YPTS. If you were looking to be challenged, if you were looking to be around like-minded people but are still different at heart, and if you were looking to figure out what your call and purpose is, I believe that Pittsburgh Theological Seminary is a place for you to go. That was my quick spiel.
That's a great spiel. Let me add on just a couple things.
Okay.
One, we're Presbyterian, but we're ecumenical, meaning that doesn't matter your faith tradition, as I said earlier. We have graduate degree programs, but we're also launching something called the Ignite program, which is an online micro-credentialing program where you can kind of select modules, up to 4 modules, 6-week modules that are online, and participate in our formation arc. And in a year or less, you have credentials around ministry or specialization in urban or youth or what have you. So information about that'll be coming out more fully in this fall with launching the courses in January of 2027. So you don't have to have a bachelor's degree, is my point, to participate in the Ignite program.
Okay.
And you can buttress your ministry. You can be practicing ministry now and participate in these programs. And so we have tons of certificates, and there's tons of free stuff that help to resource. March 12th, we'll having our annual Metro Urban Institute lecture called the Kelso Lecture. Dr. William Lamar IV, who is the pastor of Metropolitan AME Church in Washington, D.C., will be the lecturer. Metropolitan AME Church is known because, if you all remember, there was a lawsuit from a black church against the Proud Boys. The Proud Boys had vandalized the church.
Yes.
They sued. The church won. And so now Metropolitan AME Church is the copyright owner of everything Proud Boys. The website, all merchandise, everything. So, that's a beautiful thing. Bill Lamar's going to talk about that and talk about some other kinds of resistance. And then afterwards, my alma mater on March 12th will be in concert. My Hampton University Concert Choir will be here. So that'll be at, that's in partnership with Mount Ararat Church. And so that's just one example. That's free and open to the public.
Okay.
And there's stuff like that happens throughout the year. So I call people that participate in any of our programs students. So whether you're a degree student, whether you're a micro-credential Ignite student, or you're somebody that just participated in a workshop or program, you can be a student at PTS.
Well, there you have it.
Oh, and the biggest thing of all, we have lots of scholarships. So you can have a free education.
Money.
Someone woke up on that one.
I'm looking at you.
Look, we ain't solidified the doctorate yet. So we can still look at some things.
Okay.
We can still look at some things.
Lots of scholarship money. Many of our students come with they get their degrees with no educational debt. They don't have to get loans. Some students, if they have their GPA and they have some options, they even get more than the cost of tuition. So they get a check at the end of the month or end of the semester. So one of the main things I said to folks was, you can go for free if you want to. I said that to you.
I sure did, because I was like, well, if I can't go, then I don't need to be at school. And he said,
I said,
go.
child, come on. There's plenty of money. You can make it happen.
And that was my excuse, and it didn't pan out that way. So, yeah, scholarships available.
There you go.
All right.
You can check out pts.edu.
Yep.
You'll see it down here on the bottom left thirds. And yeah, this has been another episode of Cross Perspectives. We appreciate you. There we go. Like, subscribe, share, comment, throw in the chat. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. We appreciate Dr. Lee with us.
Yes.
And yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next
Peace.
time.